but they were called hellhounds then and there. And now we give them these fancy Spanish names called chupacabras. They are different creatures, and I guess the basis of what I'm getting at here is that, you know, that's another life decision that we make within ourselves. What to believe in. We're told what to believe in. Whether Bigfoot's real, whether the chupacabra's real, whether ghosts are real, spirits, UFOs. And I can attest to at least 3 of these. The chupacabra, or as I was told it was a hellhound, I've seen one, and it looks similar to this one. And like I said, it was in the dusk time, but the head is something that you can never forget. And that's what I remember seeing. Whenever it turned to the side and I saw this video, I was like, oh shit. Thing's out in the broad daylight. What the hell is that? Bigfoot, I've never personally even heard of anybody. There was this one family when I lived in Brookhaven, Mississippi, that I think they were in West Lincoln or Wesson, one of the two areas, that saw one. And I don't remember the family's name now, but they used to live right up the road, and they told me this story. And it was an amazing story. I'm not going to get into it, but it was an amazing story. And the father was a firefighter, a public official. Imagine that. The guy that had brought out this was a policeman. Kind of makes you think if people in our officiating positions and even our self-defense positions maybe they're telling tall tales, or you know, do they really just stumble across these particular type of stories and life events? But Bigfoot I've never encountered. Ghosts I have seen one. I don't care what anybody says. I never will in my life forget seeing an actual spirit. To this day, it puts chills up my spine just remembering it. And that's one, hell, I'll start with that one. It was me and this girl named Robin. Her mom's name was Nina, and this was in Independence, Louisiana. And her brother's name started with a J, so we'll just call him J. I think it was Jake or John. We'll just call him J. But Nina was in the house. Robin and Jay and a couple of his buddies, I didn't really know these guys all that well, but I used to go through the house all the time. And this was when I was about, I'd say 12ish, 10, 12, somewhere around there, right before teenage life. And they said there's a cemetery up here, and we've seen a ghost up here that is on this tomb. And it was one of the above ground tombs, because everybody knows in Louisiana there's a lot of tombs and a lot of cemeteries that people just have had in the past, back in the day, that were above ground. They started building, what do you call them, sarcophaguses, the tombs above ground because of the flooding and everything else that goes on in Louisiana. This was down by the Tangipahoa River, really close to it. And we walked up this path that was just like this four-wheeler path, I guess you'd say. And we walked up to the wood line to where you could see the cemetery. And they said, now be careful, we're getting close to it. And we walked up and we didn't see anything. We got closer and we got closer, and we must have been within 20 feet of it. And he says, right there, you see that grave right there? I said, yeah, I see it. And I never will forget the way it went down. He said, well, look at that. Just watch it for a minute. He said, I'm gonna say her name. And I was like, what are you talking about? And he called out this name. And as God is my witness, if there is a God, as me as my witness, and any the people that were there, if they remember this, I swear to you, I was looking at this tomb and he yelled out the name, and this ghostly figure rose up onto like the slab of this tomb, sat up and looked straight at us, kind of like, you know, sitting up and going. And when that thing made eye contact, my body went just as white as a sheet of paper. And I remember this chill just burning me. It was so cold. And I think it even made him crap his pants. And we turned around and haul-tailed it out of there. So I know that ghosts or spirits, the undead, whatever you want to call them, exists. I will never doubt that. Hellhounds. Like I said, I've seen a couple of those, and I was explained why. I'm not going to get into that story because I don't want to bring up any other spiritual type things. But whether it was a chupacabra or a hellhound, I know that exists. UFOs. I know that they exist because I've seen a couple of them. Now, I know a lot of you people will probably say, oh, I'm jumping ship, this dude's done lost his mind. But how many people out there who are my subscribers have encountered the same thing? I remember it was not too long ago and I'm not this old now, I'm not that old, but in the late 80s, I guess I was in the teenish type era, where I remember two guys' names in particular. It was Barry Sellers. I don't know where the heck ever happened to him. It was a guy that lived down the street named Binky. I think his name was Andy, really. His brother and a couple other guys that were just around from the neighborhood. We were sitting out there and we were throwing a football around. And we saw this big, flat, like oval-shaped red, I mean, it was gigantic, the way it came over us. And we just started looking up, and it was like, what the hell is that? And it just like, it had this humming noise, like, and it just went over the top of us and down across the tree line and down, kind of like looked like it was settling behind the tree line across the railroad tracks, which is about a half mile away, I guess. And we were all, go check it out, go see what that is, go check it out. It was like, man, screw you, I'm not doing that, I'm not going down there. Well, let's all go. No, well, let's just leave it alone. And I never will forget, and it was this red, oval-shaped, just maroon-colored red. And there was nothing that I have yet to have seen. There was a couple of Discovery Channel or TLC and even History Channel type things where I've seen similar. And then there were another time where the diamond-shaped or arrow-shaped formation of ships, we've even seen those standing outside late at night. I mean, we don't even know why we were out that late. It was summertime, didn't have a curfew, they knew we were right outside, houses were closed. This was a time where you could actually play in the street. And we saw those. And I've seen plenty of stories where they have that arrow-shaped formation of ships, and they would break apart and then come back together and do all kind of funky things with these little colors. So, yeah, UFOs, aliens, yes. Have I ever seen an alien? No, not to my knowledge. Not unless they put me under and I don't remember anything. But as far as the unidentified flying objects, absolutely believe in those. And those are just a few of the cover-ups and things that we're conditioned in our lives to either, you know, we take it to heart and we believe it 100% and nothing's ever going to steer us away. Or you can take like the Bigfoot story where this guy says he has a Bigfoot in his freezer. Now, why they didn't have the Bigfoot out of the freezer, if it was me, that's one thing where I think if it's legit, I would have had that sumbitch out there just stinking. Damn, trying to freeze it. I would have just had it laid out, covered with a tarpaulin, or put it in a Ziploc bag or something, so that I could legitimize it, and they still, I believe, would have covered it up. And now, where this guy was so adamant about it being real, where he touched it, felt it, He sent in hair samples. The first hair samples came back legit. The guy was up there that actually found it and stayed with the body, and they drug it up out of the woods. Said, you know, we have film footage that we're going to release in due time here shortly. We have new pictures that we're going to show you in due time. And now you look on the internet and it's like, poof, there's nothing. Not a damn thing about it, except for the one photo, the one video of the photo in the freezer. And that's all you see. And then they're talking about